found out that's actually illegal. So that's why I'm actually gonna file a class action lawsuit against LTD, just because like what they're doing is very illegal. So um, technically, every idea that's launched with Amway, they're supposed to be shown the LTD compensation plan. So just like how you're shown the Amway plan of how to make money from the supply-based business, you're supposed to be shown the LTD compensation plan. So we're not shown that. So that's illegal to not disclose that to every Amway distributor. And
Hey, welcome back to my channel. My name is Crystal. If you're new here, welcome. This is my channel where I talk about my experience while I was in Amway through an AMO called LTD. I was in for about a year and 8 months, and these are just things I've learned, wanted to share with others, and really warn others so that they wouldn't get caught up in the same thing that I got caught up in. I have been able to meet quite a few people on this journey, people who are in LTD as well, and others who are in different AMOs like Brit Worldwide. And today we get to talk to another person who was also an LTD, TJ. He was in for about 6 years and has quite a bit to share. He's found a lot of information out about how the AMOs work, the system that actually gets these people paid, and how it's really not ethical for these people to get paid the way they're getting paid. So sit back and enjoy the interview, and I'll be back afterwards for more information and details on how to file a case and a complaint with the FTC. Enjoy. Welcome, TJ. Thanks so much for being with us today. Thank you for reaching out to me via email and sharing a little bit of your story with me. Happy to have you on here today, sharing everything you've learned, everything you told me, and just kind of the wow and shock factor, that is being involved in LTD and Amway. So I guess introduce yourself.
yeah, thank you for having me on. My name is TJ Musumhi, and I was a part of the Amway business for 6 years, the year 2016 to the year 2022, and I was a part of the LTD leadership team development lines of motivational organization LTD.
Wow. So you were in for 6 years. I know you have quite a bit of experience and stories to share. So can you start from the beginning? What was going on in your life when you got sponsored? How did that go for you that you actually got in?
Yeah, I was a freshman going to the University of Northern Iowa in Cedar Falls, and I was studying kinesiology, and I had goals of becoming a strength and conditioning coach, either for a collegiate team or a professional team in sports. So I was studying that, and I was actually eating dinner one day at the dining center at my at University of Northern Iowa because I was living in the dorms my freshman year, and I was a freshman, and so then I was eating with a friend and my soon-to-be sponsor, and he was eating dinner. So like it was just me and my friend at first, and then showed up about a few minutes later to eat dinner with us, and he wanted to join us, and so we both invited him, and we started talking about how if the world was going to end, and if it was going to end, where we go hide at, and my soon-to-be sponsor said that he would go to his friend's house because his friend has a lot of resources at his house, and his friend is very wealthy and has a lot of weapons in his house and has a very big house and everything. And then I was like, oh wow, that's cool. And then a few minutes later, my friend leaves and it's just me and talking. And then he introduces me. He basically gives his pitch for Amway, but like in my mind, I thought that he wanted to use me for a project, like a school project for exercise related, because like he was a peer of mine, so we would always talk, and like he would not always talk, but we would talk occasionally, and like he would always compliment me about my work ethic and my how good in shape I am and everything, and so I thought he wanted to use me for like some sort of project for exercise and use me, and so I said yeah sure, and then we exchanged numbers, and then the next meeting about like a week later we met at a different area. It was technically upstairs from the dining center, like a study area, and like he showed me the plan. It was on an iPad, and he showed me the Amway compensation plan. That's how I first learned about Amway. So I was wrong. He didn't want to use it for a kinesiology project. So
So how did you feel after learning that it was Amway? Did you feel like you were kind of tricked into it, or was it fair game the way
no,
you presented the information?
I was excited just because I didn't know what Amway was at the time, and it looked like an opportunity to become rich, become wealthy, and so I was really excited. I was 19 at the time, and so I saw it like as a way for me to not only pay off my school debt that I'll have later on because that was my freshman year, but I knew I was going to have more debt, unfortunately, as time went on. And then my mom was going to school too at the same time. She was going back to school. She already had a degree in business management, but she wanted to go back to school and get a degree, like a 2 year degree in nursing. She wanted to be like a CNA or
Oh.
CNA, yeah. And so
Mhm.
she went to a community college at DMAC here in Iowa, and so she went back to school the same year I was going to school for the first time at UNI. So I saw this way for me for not only pay off my debt, but also pay off her debt for school.
Yeah.
So
That is incredible. So your expectations were basically that you were gonna get rich, make money, pay off debts, help her. That was
yeah,
what you expected going in. So describe to me how the first meeting was like, whether it was in the info session you went to get introduced to the business. Did you guys have the QIs back then, or how did that work for you?
yeah. So I came in at a very unique time. So I got shown the plan in February, and I got launched officially in March 2016. And during that time frame, they were using the QI process, which was just show the plan, and then like during that time, you could like show the plan to someone, and like what it was red, green, and yellow. Red was I'm not interested. Green was I'm ready to go get started right away. Yellow was like I need more information. And so like what could happen is if you show the plan to someone, they can get launched right away, and you can sign them up on the first day you have a meeting with them. And like how it was you would show the plan and then launch them, and then after that lay down expectations later. So like as far as like the habits, what you want them to do, what you want them to do every day, and where you want them to be every week for meetings, and where you want them to be every 4 months, conferences. Like that was all like explain later after you already launched with LTD and Amway. So for me, I saw the plan in February, and then like after Daniel showed me the plan on his iPad, I went to a local info session in the Fairfield Inn in Waterloo, Iowa at that time, and I saw the plan there. It was shown by a guy named he. He's an Emerald now, but he was a Sapphire back then, and he shared his story of how he went to Iowa State, dropped out because he saw the Amway opportunity, and he pursued that instead and saw that's a better way for him to reach his goals and to um, you know, financially prosper. So and at the end of the plan, he said that his best month back then they would say their best month. Best month was basically like the Q12 bonuses, but like so they would always say like best month his month was $22,000. That was Mark Brown's best first month, and he would bring up his platinums that were on his team, and they would say like 5,000 or 15,000, like various numbers. And so I was blown away by seeing that. Like I was in like in a conference room at a hotel, and like there are people in suits and business dresses and stuff like that. It's like everyone was professional, and like I saw so many couples and so many people there. I was like, this can't be a scam. Like they can't all be actors. I'm seeing so many couples, people that are succeeding and they're having the best months, and I saw that as a way for me to pay off my school debt, pay off my mom's school debt, and and then like if I don't want to have a job in the future, I can retire. So I was really excited, and yeah, that was my first meeting. And then I remember after that first meeting, so like info sessions. I'm pretty sure I had the same thing too, but like info sessions was just for guests for the first hour, and then the last like 30 minutes was just for IBOs that already launched. So after that, in between time, Daniel asked me, "Are you red, green, yellow again?" And then I said I was green after I saw the whole plan in that meeting, and so I was actually invited to stay for training. And so that training, I learned about A list, B list, C list, and they like taught when you first get started, write down all the people that you know. A list, which is your family, very, very, very close friends. B list is like acquaintances or kind of like long distance friends, and then C list is just cold contacts, people that you don't know. And so I wrote that all down, and then I immediately started my list: A list, B list, C list. And it was kind of a unique situation because I was in college. I didn't really know how to. Uh, so like I was struggling how to get launched with Amway and LTD at the same time. So I couldn't afford that all at once. But fortunately, it was around tax time, and I had worked previously in the summertime, um, back in like May, June, July, after my last year of high school, and so I had taxes come back, and it was around that tax time when I launched in March that I got my check back. And so what happened was is at first I was going to go to so at first I got hired at the dining center at my college to um, pay for my Amway distributor account and my LTD membership account. But then taxes came early. Taxes came in March, and so then my upline said, "Hey, just use that for getting launched with Amway and LTD." And so I did, and then we were in line at a team meeting that takes place monthly, and it was actually at a DMAC in Ankeny, Iowa, and like we were in line. I was using my sponsor's laptop to launch my Amway business and then to launch my LTD membership account all at once. And like I wasn't explaining what LTD was at the time. I just launched just because I just trusted them. And then it wasn't until after my first conference they actually explained what the apps were for LTD that I had downloaded. It's like they had me download everything for LTD, and
Mm-hmm.
then like they didn't really explain or tell me what they wanted me to do with these things until like after my first conference. And then I actually got hammered actually at my first conference. So like first conference was in April. It's called Spring Forward. I was on the Markowitz team, so it was Markowitz Spring Forward 2016. And like that following Monday, my upline platinum at that time came to our local meeting in Waterloo, Iowa, and he basically hammers me in front of me and like my sponsor's downline, so just my cross line. So it's not the whole meeting, but just like my sponsor's team. He kind of hammers me and says, hey, you need to be sending your daily LTD message every night. You need to have your ditto set up. And I was like, what's ditto? And then he explained to me how ditto was, and it was like, and I felt bad because I was like, oh my gosh, I want to be serious, and I want to prove that I am serious. So I felt bad, but then looking back at now, I was like, wait a minute, that was the whole process back then. It was just lay down stuff later, and so you kind of like bash them afterwards. It was weird. It's just yeah, but I'll give them credit. It changed around April when we got to the new process, and then it was like the reverse, where then they started to lay down expectations beforehand. But before it was weird.
It's weird, and it's almost like um, manipulating your emotions because they didn't give you expectations, but when you miss the
Yeah,
market, like, why didn't you know? Well, you didn't tell me. So what are you talking about? So that's
yeah,
good thing that they did change it because I'm sure that's why there was so much high turnover was because people
yep.
didn't know what to expect. You just hopped in this thing thinking you're going to make money, not knowing the chat to actually have all these expectations that they had. And,
Hmm.
so after you finally realized expectations. Tell us about your experience. I mean, what was it like? Did you sponsor anybody? Did you have any crazy uplines? Share with us.
Yeah,
Let us know.
yeah. I mean, for me, it was just hustle and grind for 6 years. I mean, there were times where like I wouldn't be as consistent as I was compared to other periods of time in my journey, just because like after a while, it's kind of like disheartening when you like work so hard for a while and then get no results. And it's different with fitness, where like fitness, like you work hard for a few months and you actually do see progress. It's not like you see a transformation right away, but you do see inclining progress. But with the business, it's just like no matter how hard you work in a series of months, you don't really see much incline of progress. And like for me, I'll be honest with you, I didn't really make any profit whatsoever. And by that I mean I didn't make any more income than what was actually like being spent. So like towards Amway and LTD, like I was putting my money towards my Amway Ditto, Amway Business, and then LTD membership for meetings and conferences and the apps to download and to use. So like um, eventually, like it would get to the point. It didn't start right away. But like eventually, I would I would drop out of college because I was in an environment where the motto was like jobs suck, jobs stand for just over broke, college is a scam, jobs are a scam because it's all pyramid. Because like you always have someone above you, and you're not at control of your own future. And so like the slogan was with my upline, no job, no boss, no stress. And so that really got to my mind, and I didn't take school seriously. And so I actually dropped out after my sophomore year of college.
Oh my
And then
gosh.
yeah, my parents weren't mad. My mom was very mad about that. And I'm not really that close to my dad, but my mom was very upset about that. And like there's two individuals in my life that taught me how to work out, and taught me how to lift when I was in high school. And like they're like my dads, they were like in their 40s when I was in my teens. So like
Yeah.
I saw them as like my dads, and like they were also very disappointed. And actually, one of them was my first co-signer for my car,
Oh
and
wow.
I wanted to get one right away because like I was in business, and like they wanted me to stay over the summertime after my sophomore year of college before I decided to drop out. So I decided to drop out like in like August before my third year of college was going to start. But before that, I was still planning on going to college my third year in the summertime. So like they wanted me to stay there because they wanted me to like it was explained to me they wanted me to help build the local meeting in Waterloo, Iowa. And so instead of me leaving and then coming back 2 months later, they wanted me to stay there for the whole summer after my second year of college, my sophomore year. So I wanted to get around to continue to meet people and prospect people.
Yeah.
So I got a Chevy Malibu, and he co-signed it. One of the guys I mentioned earlier, and
Mhm.
so he co-signed it, and he actually threatened to take his name off of the co-signing if I drop out of college when I decided to drop out. Because the reason why is because my sponsor, it didn't really come to mind. So my sponsor told me at a we had like a counseling session, and my sponsor was telling me, why are you in school? Because he saw that I wasn't really as passionate or as serious with school
Yeah.
because of the indoctrination that was happening.
Yeah.
And so then I thought about it, and like, yeah, I know it's a good point, because I have this ticket where I can, be free in 5 years. Because it was always said that, you can be free in 5 years. Like 2 years, you can go platinum and make 4 to 5K a month.
Yep.
And then after that, it'll take 2, 3 years to go Ruby and make six figures plus. And
Yep.
so I was convinced that, in 5 years I can retire. And so, you
Yep.
know what, I'm going to just leave school. And then then like one of those two guys, they said, hey, I'm going to take my name off the car if you drop out of school. And
Mhm.
then my sponsor told me that they can't do that because it's already signed and it's already done. They can't like undo the contract of co-signing it once it's already signed. And
Okay.
so, uh, long story short, he didn't take the car away from me. It was like just a bluff, pretty much.
Oh,
And
okay.
then I dropped out of college, and then me and those two individuals that are like my dads to me, they stopped speaking to me, and we actually ended our relationship because I told one of them, because one of them kept texting me about information about Amway and research about Amway and how people lose money, and he was trying to give me some research on that to look at for myself. And I didn't want to keep getting texts like that from him. And so then he asked me, your mom is concerned, I am concerned. Doesn't that give you a pause? And then I said no. And then like he asked me like, why do you think everyone is concerned and telling you about all these things about Amway and everything? And then I said because you're average, and that really hurt his feelings. So
Oh
he said
man.
he's average. And then
Yeah.
we were actually on the phone when he said those questions, and then like he hung up right away. And then he wanted me to apologize, and I wouldn't apologize because I kept getting encouraged by my sponsor to not apologize because he did ask you a question, and that was your opinion or whatever. Um, and then eventually I decided to block their numbers because they would keep texting me about Amway, and it was always negative, and it was always taught, snip if someone's negative and someone's not supporting your dream, it's best that you create distance so then you
Mm.
can focus on your dream and not have negativity coming your way. And so I eventually blocked their phone numbers, and we stopped speaking for a long while. But eventually we did reconnect, and things are better now.
Okay, good. I was gonna ask,
Uh,
did you guys ever mend that? Because that's horrible to hear.
yeah, it was terrible. It was took a couple of years, but just recently, this past year, a few months ago, we actually did reconnect. Because
Mm.
he actually saw my mom. She actually graduated, and so she's actually a nurse now, and she's working
Congrats.
at a clinic. Yeah. So it's kind of opposite to what Amway coaches, or at least what LTD coaches. And then like he saw my mom working, and then he told my mom, hey, if you ever want to talk to me, reach out to me. I'm always here for him. And she told me that, and then I was shocked to hear that because after the way I treated him, my dad didn't know he'd want to even talk to me, but
Oh,
he
yeah.
did. And we reconnected, we worked out, and I apologize because like at this point in time, I know I was wrong because this was like a few months ago, and I left in 2022. So
Yeah.
2023, we reconnected, and so that's how I learned. But throughout that time, though, like there was, I mean, it wasn't right away, but like once I started making more money at my job, like I started to work at a factory, for example,
Hmm.
and that was where I was making more money than I was as a college student. And so like my PV expectations changed over time. So once I was making more money with my job, I was expected to have 300 PV points per volume every single month, and so that cost me $1,000 every single month just for products. So that was energy drinks, protein bars, protein shakes, and like the BCAAs, the vitamins,
Yeah.
everything. And like LTD was $9 a month for the apps, and then it was $5 a week for every meeting, every week, once a week, and then it was $10 every single month for a monthly meeting, and then about $135 for conferences that takes place 4 times a year. And then there was that one fall leadership that was about $55, $60. That was like around November. So about 5 conferences. And so like total, like I was spending more money towards LTD and Amway compared to what I was actually making back. And like the most I ever made back was about $300 back. Like that was it. And so like there
Wow.
were
So you
multiple,
were you were
like every,
actually making like decent, like so you were actually making over $1,000 a month from Amway.
no, I was making $300 a month. My bad. I said $300. That's what I meant to say.
Okay.
So like
Wow. So
I would get,
you were in the negative then.
yeah, negative. Yeah. So I'd be spending over $1,000 per month Amway and LTD and like making $300 back from Amway.
Wow.
So like I didn't even make like a third back. And so like
Wow.
every year for taxes when I would file, like I was always at a negative. And
Yeah.
like my tax consultant would be like just
You're
like
at a
just look
loss
at me.
again. What's going on?
Yeah, yeah, like what's going on here? And like it was just, and even that last year you told me don't even file just because like you're such at a huge loss, like don't even file this, like you're at a huge loss, but there's no point even filing for your taxes. So like my last year in like 2021 when I filed, like I didn't even file like for Amway. I just, yeah, because like it was just so low. And before that it was just, they would always question like is this a huge loss, and like they would always ask me for my expenses, and I would tell them everything, and just they were just always shocked. It's like a huge loss, you know.
Wow.
So it was just, yeah, it was bad. So
Oh, wow.
I would tell anyone if they're looking to be an Amway and LTD, it's just you're gonna lose money, at least for a majority of people, and like you can tell that with your taxes, because like every single year when you're doing taxes, it's gonna be revealed to you you're losing money, annually. So, and to me it was for 6 years. Like,
Yeah.
there was never one year where I made more money than I actually spent. So Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, I appreciated the fact that I wasn't making any money. It was one thing that woke me up that was just like, what am I doing? Like I'm
Yeah.
paying I'm paying a business that's not paying me back. So
Mhm.
um I think even though it sucked, it was one thing that I needed to kind of shock my brain into like reality of realizing that this isn't adding up. It doesn't make any sense. Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me when you started feeling like this wasn't really for you and you were thinking like it's time to go.
Yeah. For me, it was around 2021. So one of my legs in my team, they converted to being a Nazarite, and they shared with me their faith. And after a while, from learning from them, I became a Nazarite, and that changed my whole perspective on life, as a whole. And so then how I saw everything was different, and like how I saw the business was different too. Just like at first, like so every conference is always like this. Is a Sunday service. It's always optional, and like um, during this time, like one of the leaders will always share their testimony of how they found Christ, and then they would invite others to come to the stage and say the Lord's Prayer and convert to Christianity and be saved. And at first, I thought it was beautiful because I was actually one of those people that did that. I did walk to the stage and I did confess my life to Christ. But I don't know, when I converted to being a Nazarite, I saw that as like manipulation, where like they're using scripture and they're using religion to sell their business practice. In my opinion, it didn't seem genuine. It seemed very like manipulating in a way and just usury. It didn't really fit right with me.
And
So, and that was like for like a whole year from like 2021 to 2022 when I left. I just spiritually did it didn't seem right to me, and like I was reading my Bible more, and so I was learning more about scripture and like how my upline and people that were on stage at different events would speak about the Bible and quote scripture. It was just like there are many times where like that's not what it says. That's not true.
yes, I know. I would
Yeah.
be like, that's not what that means. I'd be like, y'all are just taking that so out of context. I was the same way.
Yeah. So um it didn't really fit right with me at all. And so then um what happened was is it was around June, it was around like May 2022. I texted my upline saying, hey, I need a break. I just need a break, some time to think to myself and be to myself. I'm not sure if this is the right route out for me to take moving forward. And then he said, I'm not going to argue with the TJ, but you and I both know that God is changing lives through this business. So he brings up God right away, without even me mentioning it. And then like he was like, well then I got mad and said, because he would always do this where like he would always like manipulate me in these kinds of ways. And I'd had it at this point, so I was just like, I don't know what I said, but like I was like, I'm not going to argue with you either, but don't you dare tell me what I know. You don't know what I know.
Mhm.
Like I know what I know in my mind. You don't know my thoughts. You don't know what I'm thinking. So you don't know what I know. So don't tell me what you think I know. And like he was telling, and then he came back and said like God speaks to us through the communion of others, through the joining of others. And like I said to him in reply that like God would not be able to speak to me because that so-called communion that you're talking about is covered up in darkness. Because I was just so angry about what he was trying to do to me. And then after that he said, so do you believe that God is not changing lives through his business? And then I just left it like that. I didn't even try to continue the conversation. I left it like that. And I thought for about a month or so. And then in June, I decided to text him and said, hey, I wish you the best for you and his wife, Tao, and I'm leaving. Like, I said it in a kind of way. Like, I wish you the best, but this isn't the best route for me to take anymore. And like, I got no response whatsoever. And, I didn't expect much from him. I just wanted him to say, or I thought he would at least say, hey, I wish you good as well. Like after 6 years, like because like he would always tell me like hey, like we're brothers, and like one day we're gonna have our own separate families, and like our kids are going to know each other, and they're gonna grow up, and like, I'm gonna be Uncle TJ, and I don't know. I thought he would at least say something, but he didn't say anything at all. No response. So I had to go on GroupMe, which is an app that we use to communicate with our downline and upline, like a different app. We had so many apps, but like that was one app, and like I had to go on there and just text him there and say, hey, did you get my text? And he said, yes, I got your text, and that was it. And then nothing else. And then I just after that I was just like, wow, I see where you are now. You just used it,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like you say all these things, but then like once you get what you want from me, I'm done. Like so like I was like I don't want to like say like in a very um like full of myself kind of way or whatever, like arrogant or cocky, but they would even tell me too like I was a catalyst for him going platinum. Just because like I only went um 2500 PV, but like that was enough for him to go platinum. So like
Okay.
he had like one of the leg that was like 4000 PV, and then I came along, and so that helped him go platinum. And so like he said I was a huge catalyst for him going platinum, and I don't know. So it's just I felt like he got what he wanted from me, and then like once he got it, I was done with. And then like my team stayed, and like um the month after my I left, my group went 5,000, but then the month after that, in August of 2022, it fell back so much. Like it fell back so much, and like it never even went back to 2,500 PV. It stayed like below that, just because like I don't even know why, but it was like around like it would stay like around like 1,500 PV or 1,000 PV, but it wouldn't really go up any higher for like months. Like I'm talking about months, because like I kept my Amway account for about a year and a half, and I just resigned my business in February. 'Cause
Oh,
I wanted to
okay.
buy
Okay.
I wanted to buy the energy drinks.
I
So
know those drinks were so good. I know.
yeah, yeah. But then I decided to resign.
Yeah.
But then before that, um, so I left because of spiritual reasons. And then once like about a few months later, about 6 months later, around like November of 2022, I just I questioned myself. I was like, you know what, my upline, he made so much money, and he went from like he went away to platinum, but like when he spoke to me, he was like I think it's like 1,000 PV or 1,500 PV when he sponsored me. So like I saw him go from there to platinum and Q12 platinum too. Because like he went silver in 2019, and then he went platinum in 2020, and then he
Mhm.
went Q12 in 2020 of September. So I saw all of that, and like I saw him like make more money and increase and all this stuff, and I was like, you know what? That entire time I was losing money, and I kept losing
Yeah.
money, and I got in debt, and I was like, it doesn't make sense to me. And I was always taught that like if you're in business, it's always going to be your fault if you're not making money. It's always going to be your fault if you're not growing, and all these things. And like I didn't, and like you always taught never do your own research at all. It's a bad thing about society. Everyone always has an agenda. It's either someone trying to sell their own company for um, direct selling, or someone trying to spread negative, and like they're living with their mom or their dad still, and they have all this jealous and hate. And so I never did my own research at all when I was in business. But then, you know, after I left, a few months later, I was like, this doesn't make sense to me. And so I
Yeah.
went online. I did my own research for the first time ever in like 6 years. And then I found Robert Fitzpatrick, who does research on Amway. Yeah, so I did my own research, and I found out information through Robert Fitzpatrick, who does his own research on Amway, and then also the direct selling industry as a whole. And then I found information about Sean Munger, who does research on the tools business. He's a historian, and so he does other projects as well. But he's also done stuff on the tools business and how that originated with it being affiliated with Amway. And so I found out from all that research that Amway and LTD are both pyramid schemes. So like they have different ownerships and different leaderships, but they're both still pyramid schemes. The reason why Amway, the supply base, is a pyramid scheme. It's because it's based off of only about 2% or 3% making a profit off of everyone else's losses, which is about 97 or 98%. And so that's why you have a lot of people just with the Amway supply-based triangle, business, losing so much money for majority and like the top people that are like higher level leaders making the profits. And like I remember being at an info session where they would always say they would have like a board out and they would draw it out and they would have like a guy sponsoring a couple and that couple sponsored six legs and they would always ask the audience who makes the money, the guy or the couple. And it was a couple because the couple sponsored six legs, but it's still a pyramid because the majority of people in that scenario are losing money just for that couple to make a profit. It's based off of at least five of those six legs or all six legs losing money every single month. Paying for the ditto and the training cost for you know going to meetings and conferences. Like they're losing money,
Hmm.
and that's benefiting the couple that's above them and the guy as well. I mean, the guy is making less money than the couple because he only has one leg, but the couple is still making a profit off of everyone's losses. So it's still a pyramid. It's not a traditional pyramid where every level you go up, someone's making more, but it's still a pyramid where the majority of people are losing money, and there's only a select few, which is just a very small few, making a profit off of everyone else's losses. And so that's the supply base. And then the tools business it's actually a bigger pyramid scheme, and it's owned by the leaders that are like diamond and above. And so like what that is basically it starts off at platinum, and once you go platinum, you can start earning revenue off the tools business. And it's the same with every tools business. And so with LTD, once you go platinum, you start making revenue off of your team that is subscribing to LTD, and it goes higher as you go on. And so um, the lifestyle of freedom and being free, it's actually coming from the tools business.
Mm.
And like 80% of the income, 80% of the income is coming from LTD tool income versus the actual Amway income. And I know this because I've spoken with some platinums and above that used to be a part of LTD that are not in LTD anymore. And like I've reached out to them and they've shared with me their stories and their experiences as well. And like I've spoken to other leaders too that have been a part of other training systems, and they've said the same thing too. It's the majority of income is coming from the tools business, and so the lifestyle of financial freedom, independence, and having a passive income, it's the opposite. It's from LTD, and if you're a part of Brit Worldwide, it's from Brit Worldwide. Same with any kind of training system. It's from the training system versus the actual Amway supply base. And we're actually taught the opposite. We're taught that it's Amway that's making more income um, than the training system. And like we're taught that Amway is like the number one opportunity in the world. It's a great time, money, no job, no boss, no stress. But we're taught the opposite, and so it's actually a lie. And I found out that's actually illegal. So that's why I'm actually gonna file a class action lawsuit against LTD, just because like what they're doing is very illegal. So um, technically, every idea that's launched with Amway, they're supposed to be shown the LTD compensation plan. So just like how you're shown the Amway plan of how to make money from the supply-based business, you're supposed to be shown the LTD compensation plan. So we're not shown that. So that's illegal to not disclose that to every Amway distributor. And also like how they approach prospects. So like when you go to like let's say like a Walmart or a Sam's Club or a Costco, and like you meet someone and you say, hey, I'm working with a guy who was able to build an asset, a web-based asset, and he was able to make six figures plus. And he actually retired in his late 30s, and he's coaching me and mentoring me to do the same thing, so I rely on a job forever. Or I'm working with a couple that built an asset, and they're able to actually double their income outside their jobs, and they're mentoring me and coaching me to do the same thing, so not to sacrifice the rest of my life for a job. So like if you're making those claims, but you're not actually being coached by that specific couple or that specific person, that's actually illegal, and it goes against the False Claims Act,
Oh
and it's a
wow.
RICO charge.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. So like the majority of IBOs when they say these things, because like for my team anyway, my upline diamond, he was an M at the time, but now he's a diamond. But he would say it's okay to say this because technically we have their audios and we listen to them, and technically we go to their conferences, and so we're learning from them for 4 times a year. But technically, it's actually legal if you're saying, "Hey, I'm working with so and so that has this result by building an asset, and they retired at this age, and they're making 6 figures plus, or they're millionaires." You've been actually being coached by them, where like you're getting hands-on, one-on-one coaching, and you can call them on the phone and ask questions. That's actually illegal, and that's false misrepresentation, and so it's actually illegal. And every IBO that's being taught that is doing that illegally. Not every single IBO, because like some might be sponsored by a diamond, and a diamond might be a millionaire or making 6 figures plus. But like if you have like a platinum sponsor below that, and you're saying these things to people in the marketplace, that's actually illegal. So that's one thing. And then you know how they invite people to conferences that are not actually launched with Amway yet, or LTD. So like
Yes.
let's just say you have someone in the process, and there's a conference coming up in the next 3 weeks or so, and like they're like at, let's just say, follow-up one. So they're not even signed up yet, and they invite them to that conference 3 weeks later, and they have them buy a ticket and they get seated or whatever. That's actually illegal. They have to be partnered with LTD, and I'm not sure about Amway, but I know they have to be partnered with LTD at the very least, and
Wow.
be a member of LTD to actually be at an LTD function. So that's actually also illegal. So that's what the lawsuit's mainly about, and then also like how they have. So, and I know this is all to be true as well, like how they create these fake diamond pins. So there's methods to do that. So like the majority of diamonds that are being you know broken, so to speak, are actually fake, fraudulent. So like
Yeah.
I'm not sure when you left, but like in 2021, we had like 8 new diamonds.
Uh-huh.
In 2020, there was like, so like because of the pandemic, it was like 4 or 5 in 2020, and then like the rest were 2021, and so we had to like take a break in 2020 and not meet up in person to celebrate the new diamonds that year, and so it kind of rolled over to the next year in 2021 where we had like 8 new diamonds.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if you were there for that.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Yes.
but the reason why they had so many new diamonds is because they needed to break new diamonds to build belief. Because the last new diamonds was actually Nike and Sage Gala in 2013, or no, 2012. And before that, I think it was with another couple in '09, and then Matt Grotwald was '06. So like it had been about 6 years, or well, the first time the broke down was in 2018 for the first time in 6 years, and then they had 4 new ones in 2019, and then 2021 they had like 8 new diamonds. But like LTD was losing belief, and so they needed to create new diamonds. And so what they're doing is it's always like basically diamonds are like they're not selected, they're not earned through merit and hard work. They're selected and chosen, and they're given certain privileges to do things that the average IBO is not allowed to be. That's not allowed to do. So like one method is PV transfer, and that's actually what my diamond did. So my upline diamond, he transferred 5,000 PV to his 6 qualified organization, and I know that because I know like I was a part of that team, and I know his 6 legs for diamond, and that sixth group was just one couple, and that one couple only only reached 1,200 PB. They weren't even silvers or platinums in that one sixth organization, and their sponsor quit. And like I know that there was no recognized platinum in that sixth group, and I talked about that on my show, on my podcast, in more detail. But like I know he transferred back to the PB to that 6th leg, and I know like my crossline diamond and my upline diamond, like very up top. on like what they did to go diamond. They actually combined several of their legs into one leg to create a platinum and above leg, and they did that to generate 6 platinum legs and above to go diamond. It's the same with a lot of other diamond ships. They're always selected and chosen. And like, I actually spoke with a guy who used to be a part of LTD, and he was talking to someone in the team, and like, um, that person told him that like, who the next diamonds are going to be for the next year. So it's already like chosen already ahead of time, and like, so that's just, it goes to show you that like it's always selected and chosen ahead of time who's going to be the next diamond, and it's just to build belief for LTD, and like, also it's just for people to like get more money on the tool income, because the higher you go, the more money you make from the tool system. So like, people in LTD that are platinum above, they're going to help as much people as they can to go platinum, but they don't want you to grow too big, because like, let's just say you're an emerald, and you help someone go platinum. You don't want that platinum to go above emerald, because you don't make money off of them from the tool system. You do it from Amway, but not from LTD. So like, let's just say an emerald sponsors a diamond, not gonna get any LTD revenue from that diamond. Or let's just say a diamond sponsors a double diamond in their group. They're not gonna make any LTD revenue from that double diamond leg. So like, they don't want you to grow too big, and like that's where the main money is coming from, the tool system. So that's why there's an incentive to break platinums, but also not to like go too big below your personal pin level. And like, you can do that by a couple of methods. One method is PV transfer that I mentioned before. Another one is leg combination that I mentioned before, and then also VCS too. I've seen stories of people that are upline diamond. What they do is they create fake receipts and fake invoices of their downline, buying their PV, so that they can transfer that PV to that downline to create like a platinum and above leg. And they can do that because the upline has access to your phone number and your email if you're in the downline. And so they can just create a fake receipt and say, hey, my downline bought this PV from me. And like, and then that can make them legally transfer PV to that downline. It's from their inventory. So they can, they can buy your inventory from your Amway inventory. But like, technically the diamonds are doing that just to create more platinum above legs. I know that because I've spoken to people that have been, platinum and above, and I've spoken to them. So that's how I've learned all these things. So that's why I'm taking a stance against LTD legally, and my goal is to go to trial. And anyone that's been a part of LTD in the last 5 years, they had the right to join my lawsuit as well too.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because like, they were victims as well too, and they were part of the same, Amway. They were part of the same trading organization. So anyone within the last 5 years can join my lawsuit, because it's a class action lawsuit. And also anyone that's a part of any other different trading system. So like, Brit Worldwide or Worldwide Dream Builders or URA, like, they have that same right to file their own class action lawsuit against their upline and their trading system, because every system operates the same way, where they're not being regulated and they're not being monitored. There's no legal regulation or oversight whatsoever from the tools business. And so they've never been investigated. They've never been approached by the FTC. So like, with Amway and LTD, Amway has been investigated, but LTD has never been investigated, and that's the same with every trading. That's the same with every trading system. So because of that, there's never been any kind of legal regulation or oversight monitoring them. And so what happens is, with every trading system, the one that owns it basically can pick and choose who gets paid and how much they get paid. And so what you run into with that is there's different groups where, like, for example, within LTD, one emerald might receive a different percentage off of their tool revenue compared to another emerald that might be the same size or even like a smaller size. But it's different because it depends on what Larry chooses. And the criteria is basically Um, I've I spoke to some leaders about this before, so I know this. The criteria for that is based off of your how big a group is, how many people are day one of buying tickets to functions and events, um, and then like your speaking ability, how well can you speak on stage, your social credit score as far as like, do people like you? Are you like the popular, leader within LTD?
Yeah,
Are you marketable? Are you marketable for LTD? And then like
yeah.
this is just going to sound very misogyny, but it's actually true. It's based on how attractive your wife is too. As far as
Oh, that's what we're
I
doing.
said,
Wow.
yeah, yeah, it's terrible, but like that's the criteria, and so like your percentage off of the tool revenue you make for your team is based off of that, and has the right to pick whatever much money you get from the tool system, and he can also kick you out of the tool system as well too, because unless you have a contract to have you sign and have the letter signed to guarantee tool money and to not get kicked out of tool money and kicked out of the tool system. And there's actually stories of that happening. If you look up Judd Ayers, he got kicked out of LTD, and he was in it for 22 years.
Oh, wow.
So like, yeah, so so um, yeah, so like, there's no legal protection unless you have a contract with LTD to not get kicked out of the tool system. So what can happen is if he wants to, for whatever reason, he can kick you out, and that means you get kicked out of your LTD tool system income as well. And so like your upline can make all the money from your team from LTD, and you make none of it, just the Amway income, not the LTD income. So it's not right, and it's just it's it's very evil too. Because I've spoken to a platinum in a different training system, and like he said that he wanted to leave his system and go to another training system, and he said that his diamond said to him that um, if you don't leave, I will give you a higher percentage of the tool system from your team if you don't leave. And it's the same thing with LTD where like people are given different percentages and it's not fair because like legally every person in Amway that's part of LTD is supposed to get disclosed the compensation plan, and the platinums and above are supposed to also get um, disclosure on the compensation plan as well too. But the platinums above aren't given any kind of disclosure on how they're getting paid from LTD. They're just getting paid, and that's also illegal as well too because they're supposed to get disclosed on like if you have this size group, you're supposed to get this size income from LTD tool system, and this size structure, you're supposed to get this percentage off the tool system. But like, there's no rules and there's no disclosure. It's just picking and choosing and how much you get paid. So legally, you're supposed to get shown that. And what's happening is and the diamonds are taking most of the income from their platinums and above that are in LTD. So
So
I know that because
I knew that diamonds were kind of produced and not really made because I knew
yeah,
that you could buy other people's businesses. When I learned that,
yeah,
I was just like, so has anybody really gone diamond according to the Amway plan? And I realized that they're basically just picking and choosing who they want to go diamond. And I
yeah,
realized that when it came to platinums, not every platinum got to be on stage because I had an upline platinum who they were platinum, but they never hosted any of the info sessions. They never hosted any of the trainings. And the husband really wasn't, his strong suit wasn't really public speaking. And that's fine.
yeah,
But I always wondered, like, why? I thought that because you're a platinum, you had to do it. But it seemed like they picked and choose who
yeah,
would get on stage. And I always wondered that, but you kind of confirmed what I was thinking because I was like, what's really going on here? And I remember at the time I was single, and there's a lot of single ladies on my team. And I was like, I don't feel like they would ever put a single lady up there. It'd always have to be some kind of a man or a married couple because I felt like they didn't like women. I felt like it was really all about the man.
yeah,
And the woman was just kind of there to help with selling products. That's kind of how I felt, but you kind of confirmed everything that you
yeah,
said. You mentioned your podcast. Can you tell us how to find your podcast and also how
yeah.
to join your class action lawsuit?
Yeah. So my podcast is on Spotify, YouTube, um, iHeartRadio, Apple, and Castbox. It's called Unplug by TJ Musumhi, my name. And yeah, on that show, I expose LTD and all the lies and fallacies that they give to the downline, and I try and destroy the lies with the truth. And then I haven't filed the papers yet. I'm looking for lawyers right now currently, but my email's on my description on my podcast, so you can email me. And I actually have the connections to where if someone wants to either join my lawsuit or also want to file their own lawsuit against, their upline, especially if you're part of a different team, a different AMO. I have the connections as well to help you with that as well too. So
Okay.
just go ahead and email me.
Okay. That's perfect. This
And then
was, go ahead.
I just want just mention three things. Just if you're in Amway or if you're looking to be a part of Amway and a part of LTD or any kind of AMO, just look up. I would just have these three questions with you. I would ask for a profit and loss balance sheet from your upline platinum and above, just to see actually how profitable they are. Just because like if they're going to claim to you that they can help you financially and help you prosper financially and help you make more money financially and help you become financially free and independent, like I would ask for a profit and loss balance sheet just to make sure they actually are what they say that they are and like they're not actually, losing money annually or losing money per month from their Amway and LTD expenses. And then as well, ask the upline platinum above if you're looking to be a part of it or you are part of it. How many of your downline is actually generating a profit within your team? Is the majority of people on your team losing money per month, or are they actually earning a profit? That's very important to know. And like, how many leaders are actually qualified? Qualified, Amway leaders. And like you can actually look at that with the Amway qualified trips as well. If you go like on the Q12 Achievers, like the Amway Q12 Achievers trip and like Diamond Club, like actually look for your upline there. Like is your upline actually there? That tells a lot as far as like, because like with LTD, they can manipulate that and say, they have their own trips. Like I know that for us, we had like a 975 trip for the LTD. It was a Markowitz thing where like if you had 9 legs and 7 people, you can go to this mansion somewhere or whatever. But like with Amway, you can't lie about that. Like if they're not actually at Amway trips, like Achievers or Diamond Club or whatever, that proves to you that they're not what they say they are. They're not qualified diamonds and they're not qualified platinums and above either. And the thing is like diamond isn't actually as sustainable. What you'll find with LTD is that once you go down for the first time, after 6 months, your group falls back and you don't actually maintain diamond. You actually see that with the conferences, like the diamonds that are there at Summit, for example. Like they're not qualified and maintain diamonds. It's just they're not, seeing a diamond trips from Amway where it's Amway diamond qualified trips. They're not there. And I know that for a fact that like I know I can't say names, but like I know from like people that have been a part of these teams, like it's just an emerald. He's not a double diamond. He's the chairman of the IBO AI board, but because he's chairman of the IBO AI board, he's able to inherit platinum above legs from China. And because of that, he's a double diamond. But if he didn't do that, he's just an emerald. And he's a member of the IBO AI board. And because of that, he's able to manipulate his points and make his group look like a diamond and be a diamond. But if he doesn't do that, he's just an emerald. So like a lot of the stuff that you see on stage and at events, that it's not actually what it is. It's a lot of them aren't qualified anymore, and a lot of them are actually just transferring points or PV manipulation just to make it look like they're a diamond or emerald or whatever. But then they're not actually like a hard-earned through merit pin. So I just wanted to mention that.
That is a lot to think about, and I really appreciate those questions to ask. No, because I think had I thought to ask those questions going in, I would have never joined, because the profit and loss thing especially is like, okay, what are you actually making? And they would never share that with you. I mean, because
Yeah.
And just that alone is a red flag. So I think I'm going to just put those three questions as well as your findings in the description because I think it's something that people need to really ask. Because if they're willing to show it to you, great, but I bet they won't. And that should be a
Yeah,
to you.
yeah.
So
And then
this,
also my website also has files as well too about LTD. It goes more in depth about LTD and how it started um, and also how the tools started as well too, and also go in depth with the competition playing with LTD and how that works in my files on my website as well too. So
okay, perfect. We'll link all that in the description. Is there anything else you want to say to the audience or listeners? Any last minute words?
um, I would just say if you're still in it and you don't believe me, I understand. So I reached out to my old downline, and they didn't believe me either, except for one person. So I've been on both sides, so I know like when you believe in your upline so much, you're gonna ignore any kind of information whatsoever. I would just say the difference between me and your upline is that your upline is claiming just trust me, just trust me, and like I'll never steer you wrong and all this stuff. But like me, I'm saying don't trust me at all. I'm saying do your own research and look at what I have researched as well, and ask your upline about these things and direct them and confront them, and then also do your own research on my research and just prove to yourself what is true. That's the difference between me and your upline. Like the upline is just saying just trust me and my words. Here I'm saying don't trust me in my words. Just just do your own discretion and look at what I've looked up and researched and verify for yourself whether it's true or not. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you could describe your experience in one word, what would it be?
deception, just because there were so many lies. Like the motto was no job, no boss, no stress, but the reality is your job is your so-called business, because um, you're having to make sure your downline is plugging into LTD because that's the true income as far as where the majority of money is made, and also a little bit from Amway. So I have to do a ditto. And like he had to manipulate them so much just to believe in this dream of freedom when the reality is the majority of people aren't going to actually achieve that freedom. And then stress because you have to be at these meetings all the time, quarterly, weekly, monthly, and you have to, you drag your team there as well and have them believe in this dream as well when they're losing money per month, a majority of them. And then your bosses and your upline diamond, because if you go against them, or I don't care who your upline is, if you go against them, I'm telling you, they can kick you out of LTD. And if they kick you out, then you're losing money from the tool system. And if you lose money from there, then you lost the income because that's the majority of income is it's from LTD. It's 80% LTD and 20% Amway supply-based income. So I mean, your boss is your upline literally, where it's like if you go against them or if you say one thing wrong or if you have your own opinion on something and you go against them or you piss them off or you go just anything wrong whatsoever that ruffles their feathers, you can get kicked out of LTD easily and you can lose your income easily from that as well. So it's really not what it is as far as like you're your own boss and you have your own business. It's you're an employee you're an employee for LTD. So
Yeah. TJ, thank you so much for your time and for just sharing your experience as well as your findings from your research and also the information about the class action lawsuit. I really appreciate it. Thanks for joining me.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much for watching the interview with TJ. Let me know your thoughts, especially about the things you learned about the way these leaders get paid in their AMO and the class action lawsuit. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts? Would you do something like that? Again, if you'd like to file a complaint with the FTC, I've left the link below. I think it really helps bring these companies down, as I think that investigations may be launched soon. A lot of people have told me that they filed complaints, so I think that matters. Thanks again for watching. Thanks for emails. Thank you so much for contacting me. Thank you so much for sharing your story with me and how these videos have helped you make your decision as to whether you want to stay or go. Thanks for sharing these videos as well. It means a lot. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.